So in the last episode, we spoke about what the idea of velocity is. In this episode, I'm going to introduce a new word or a new term called friction, and then I'm going to show you how friction and velocity work with each other. So let's get to the episode. Okay, friction and velocity. In the last episode, I briefly told you what a pipeline looks like. In this episode, I'm going to show you what the pipeline looks like if it's split into more stages. There are very few stages that we actually put into our customer relationship management tool. So you probably have a tool. Maybe the briefest of these tools is an Excel sheet. So you just have an Excel sheet with different stages. Here, I'm going to show you what those stages are if you expand them. So first, there's the idea of the discovery stage, which is let's try to find a prospect in the first place, right? Let's see who are the people who will buy our product. Then there's the idea of pre-qualification. Pre-qualification means you make some sort of contact, right? Qualification happens after contact. Qualification basically means, is this person the right fit for our product? Because if you're selling superhero capes and somebody is not a superhero, then they might not buy your product. They have no need for it. So you want to make sure that you've identified prospects that are superheroes, and then you've made contact with them, and then you've seen whether they're really superheroes. Because in the sales world, a lot of people that you're selling capes to are not superheroes, right? If you're selling a product and you think that selling your sales product to hundreds of companies that do sales is a good idea, but you realize that 50 of them are frauds. 30 of them can't afford your tool. So there are many different ways you do qualification. We'll go through all of this, but qualification basically means, are you sure that the person you first made a discovery of is the right person to buy your product? Then there's the idea of designing a solution. Some companies go to this prospect with a solution. They say, look, you are Uber, and I think that you guys are this big and this is the product you should use. This is our product that you should use. We have 3 different plans. You're a big company. You should go with the 3rd plan, right? So you present a solution to them. Then the buyers evaluate your solution. Maybe they do a demo of your product and they say, okay, this is interesting. Tell us more about it. Finally, there's a decision maker involved. Somebody high up comes from Uber and says, I think I'll buy this product, right? And they make a decision. But after they decided to buy, then a negotiation happens, right? Then the pricing happens. You say, I want $2,000 for this product. And the decision maker from Uber says, no, I can only afford $1,800. And then you say, sir, at least $1,900, sir. So that's a negotiation phase, and we try our best to negotiate a higher price. They try their best to negotiate a lower price. And finally, you come to somewhere midway, hopefully, for average negotiators. And then finally, that deal is closed and the money is wired in. This is called a collection. The money is wired in. And usually the money comes in via bank transfer or card or whatever method, usually a few days after the deal is closed. So to give you an example, sometimes we just hosted an event recently, right? And we spent quite a bit of money on the event. 1,400 people showed up, but we had some very big sponsors at the event. In fact, one of the sponsors was the Fortune 500 company. What happens with Fortune 500 companies is that they have payment cycles. So even though we've closed the contract and there's maybe 2 months pending for their money to come in because they pay according to a cycle. So in this case, even though we have a Fortune 500 company who's closed, actually we had 2 Fortune 500 companies that were closed, the money only came in 3 or 4 months later, right? And different payment according to their payment cycles. So even if a deal is closed, there's the stage of actual money wiring, which happens after this. So close just means both parties have signed the contract and agreed to a particular price. So then there's the idea of friction. Friction is the amount of resistance between a customer and his purchase. I'll give you an example of something that's very low friction. If you go to Amazon and you just buy a product, you maybe buy something that's worth $5 or $10, that's low friction, right? You just pay the money and then it comes to you. But the more time you as a sales rep have to spend with a customer and their decision-making group, remember one person doesn't take a decision, multiple people do it, it's in a group, the more friction involved in the sale. High friction sales take a lot of time and energy. When I was selling my last company, JobsBio, one of the first buyers, one of the first people that offered us a term sheet, which is an offer to buy the company, we met them at least 15 times in person. They were a Delhi-based company. We were based in Bangalore. We flew to Delhi many times. They came to Bangalore many times. And there were at least another 30 conversations that happened over the phone. There were at least another 5 or 6 documents that were passed back and forth. But it was worth it for us because the deal was worth millions of dollars, right? In the off chance that it worked, we would have made quite a bit of money. At the end of the day, JobsPire, we were the ones who rejected that deal, and we went ahead with another deal from a New York-based company. But the idea stands that if something is worth millions of dollars, it's going to be high friction. Whereas if you're going out to a store and buying, batteries, that would be a low friction sale, right? So friction depends on the size of the deal. You're not very easily going to find a low friction yet high ticket deal. So we have something called a friction score that we use in Avalon. The friction score is the amount of time spent on each decision maker in hours into the total number of decision makers involved in the buying decision. So suppose you're selling some land to a company, right? And maybe the person who takes the decision in the company is the CEO, and the CEO has a council of maybe 3 or 4 people, all his or her VPs. And the CEO and these 4 people, maybe the 5 people in total, they have to sit and take a decision on whether to buy your piece of land or not. Now, you go into the meeting, first you make a pitch to somebody that's below the CEO. Then you make a pitch to somebody else. Then that person introduces you to the CEO. Then the CEO sits in the deal. So it's a lot of people involved, and maybe you have to pitch to 5 of them sitting in one room together. So how we calculate friction is simply the amount of time spent on each decision maker in hours into the total number of decision makers involved in the buying decision. If there are 3 decision makers and they're all present at the same time in the same meeting, and you only spend 1 hour totally on all of them because they're all in the same meeting, the friction score is still 1 into 3, right? The friction score is still 1 into 3 instead of just 1, even though you spent only 1 hour. This is because getting 3 decision makers in one room is hard to schedule, right? 3 important busy people who can make a big decision, getting them in one room is harder than you think it is. Friction is not supposed to be a score that just calculates the total number of hours you'll spend on a deal. That's not what it is. Friction is basically a marker of how low your sales velocity will be. It is the inverse of sales velocity, right? The higher the friction, the lower the sales velocity, right? So the more number of decision makers you have to meet, the slower the deal will go. But the low friction deals have very high velocity for obvious reasons. There's nobody to talk to, nobody to irritate you, no negotiation to happen. It happens quickly. All right, so sales velocity is a measure of how fast deals move from contact to close. If you're an entrepreneur, and this is just a tip, raise as much capital to cover 2 times your entire sales velocity. So if it takes you 8 months to close a deal, and this can happen, right? If you're, say, selling a big enterprise product worth 1.5 crores a year, then you need at least 8 months to build a relationship with the company and then close the deal. So you have to raise at least 16 months of capital, right? This is just a tip if you're an entrepreneur watching this. Avalon generally does not invest in high friction and low velocity B2B companies. We tend to avoid deals that are worth $200,000, or companies selling products that are worth $200,000 to enterprises like IBM or Google or something like that. We avoid such deals because we know the friction is very high, the velocity is very low, and you have only 1 or 2 chances to kind of prove that you're right or wrong. Because if you raise 16 months worth of capital and you try selling to a Google over 8 months and it doesn't work out, then you have just another 8 months to try again. Maybe the product is wrong, so you have to go and fix the product, and then it takes another 8 months again. It's very risky for us, so we take much smaller bets, right? We're not a soft bank, right? We don't have the capital base to give a company unlimited time. We also avoid selling companies that sell to government. The government, in my opinion, is just, especially when you're selling software to them, they're very, very slow. They'll take a decision 4 or 5 years later. There's a reason government offices still use Windows XP and Internet Explorer 7, right? It's because of the sales velocity there is so low because the friction is so high, right? You need to have at least 30 or 40 meetings. In my opinion, the government guys, especially the guys in software, they're just like wasting your time. So that's it for this video. We've learned a little bit about friction and velocity. Try to identify where your product lies, where your product or service lies. Even if your service the net value of your service is $200,000 or $300,000 a year, try to see how much friction there is. Try to see how many people you'll have to meet, what the buying committee is like, how many people in the group that decide to buy your product. Calculate your friction score, and on the next episode, we'll learn a little more on how to use that. So, bye-bye.